buddy. Eyes up here.
You have failed this city.
Wow. I know, right? Hey! Quit messing around!
I'm not messing around. I'm doing important stuff.
Okay, this does not look like this is gonna end well. For you guys.
Easy, miss. I've got you.
You've got me? Who's got you?
It's you the right. What's the difference between you and me?
I'm not wearing hockey pants.
But that is being human.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Slash Free Talk, The Watchtower, where we talk all things DC. I hope you all had a good Christmas. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I don't know if you can tell, I'm a little under the weather. That's why today's show is going to be not so news-based. I wanted to talk about the top 5 stories that affected DC in 2025. So that's the main thing we're going to talk about. I have one small announcement, and then I want to just take your questions at that point and see what you guys have to say about DC and all things going on. And it could be pop culture as well. It could be anything. Look, I know this is DC centric show now and channel, but look, if you guys got some questions on pop culture, you want my opinion on other things, ask away. But hopefully you're all doing well. I'm glad you could all make it. It's been a little more than a week since we last had a show, and it was for the holidays. Yeah, I did throw up an episode the other day. Took me a while to talk about the Lars Eidinger for Brainiac stuff, as well as a few other things. But yeah, I mean, I needed just a little break. I needed a little break, but of course, when it comes to the holidays, it always seems I just get this like nasty, ridiculous head cold. I was exhausted the last couple days, just couldn't get enough sleep. I'm not so tired anymore, but still have this thing up in my face. So it kind of sucks, but hey, it's all right. We move forward, right? We move forward and move on to the new year. So who is all here today? Let's take a look. I do see Donovan in the chat. Donovan, the first thing he says is Superman is a confirmed success. Indeed it is. We got Critic Chris in here, says, hey, Slav, everyone. Hope everyone had a nice Christmas. And again, for a happy New Year's. Can't wait for the new year. 2026 is just around the corner. And look, it is a massive year for film. Not just DC stuff, but like film in general. So it's going to be a huge year for sure. Let's see who else is in here. Trayvon says, oh, it's good to be back. Heck yeah, it is. It is indeed. Hunter Iggy, oops, where'd he go? Goes, did you see today that Matt McGloin said about China not liking Supergirl? I knew it was going to be brought up at some point today. We'll look, Hunter, stick around to the main questions. I'll talk about that once we get to the questions. If you want to ask me about it then, I'll talk about it then. Kevco's here, says, evening, y'all. Hope you had a good holiday regardless of what you celebrate. Look, here's the thing I always say. Even if you're not a Christian, even if you're not somebody who believes in Jesus Christ or God and stuff like that, if somebody just says Merry Christmas, that's telling somebody to have a good day, have a happy time during Christmas. So even if you don't celebrate it, people shouldn't. I'm not saying you at all, Kevko, that you're doing this. I'm just saying, I see people on TikTok and stuff like that. Don't say Merry Christmas to me and things like that. It's like, why? Like, you don't have to celebrate it for somebody to say Merry Christmas. Just, hey, Merry Christmas. I'm just saying, have a happy day, have a good day, have a happy holiday in a way. You don't always have to say happy holidays. You don't need, like, that's this today's world. I tell you, today's world just gets me sometimes, I tell you. Willie Fish to Gas says, good evening, y'all, or all, not y'all. I don't think you're a y'all kind of person. Good evening, all. What's going on, Willie? All right. So let's get into the topic here. All right. So top 5 of 2025. Look, I was looking for what to do, what to talk about within this, because again, I wanted to do the top 5 of 2025. There are quite a good bit of stories for DC this year. Believe it or not, obviously there's the ones that we're going to talk about here, but there are some other ones that I forgot about. So obviously, if I miss something, if I don't mention something that you think should be in this, throw it in the chat whenever we start talking about the questions. Bring it up. Tell me why you think it should be part of it. All that kind of stuff. I want to hear from you. Absolutely. But this is what I think are the 5 most important things story-wise when it comes to DC in 2025. So number 1, I am going to say, or number 5, we'll go 5 to 1. The DC fan war. Now, this is a really interesting one because it's not really like a story that people are reporting on per se, but it is out there. And the reason why this is so big is because this fandom war is just, it's building and it's building and it's building and it's getting ridiculous. Whether it's James Gunn, who is calling out the ridiculous claims or the stupid remarks from people online, or even if it's the Snyder Bros trying to claim that, oh, the Snyderverse is far superior than the DCU, whatever it is. This war has really blown up this year. And I sit back and I say, it's a little frustrating. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm above this because I 100% have actually been part of it. I have been part of the infighting of the fandom. But it is something that is kind of frustrating to me because we're at a time in DC, and you're going to see with these top 5 or these other 4 stories specifically, this is a time that we as DC fans should all be celebrating because DC is at a place that I don't think we've ever seen in decades, if ever. So to sit here and have this fighting because, oh, this person doesn't like James Gunn, or this person wants the Snyderverse back, or this person hates the DCU, or this person wants this. It's kind of like, why? Like, what's the point of it? There's no point. You then have Zack Snyder on Instagram posting all his stuff, and then you have, I think it was Variety or the Hollywood Reporter picking up that and starting to talk about it. You have the con men like Cosmic Book News, posting constantly about all this crap and pushing their agendas. You have all of those other YouTubers who I'm not going to name, but you know who I'm talking about, who post every single day their gun hate, their wallets closed, their ridiculous just bull crap. But I sit back and I say, why? Because if we were all fans of DC, if we were truly fans, all of us truly fans and excited about DC, we wouldn't be fighting with each other. Like, I get it. Not everybody's going to like what comes out. Like, I'm not a big fan of the DC KO series. I'm not a big fan of this. I'm not... Okay, you don't like everything, but there's always going to be something there that's going to be for you at some point. So I like the absolute Batman stuff. I like the what's it called? The Matt Fraction Batman stuff. That's good. I like the Superman run that's going on in comics. That's great. But then you take a look at the films and it's kind of like, hey, I like what's going on. Some people don't. But we've had 3 projects. Sit back, relax. Something's going to come out that you will enjoy at some point. But everybody just has to fight and be at each other's necks, and it's just kind of crazy to me. So to me, that's number 5 on one of the big stories of the year when it comes to DC. Next up, the Batman Part 2 is finally happening. Look, this movie's supposed to be canceled, right? Right? No. Look, I'll admit, I was told that, what was it, 2 Octobers ago or something like that, that this movie was going to be canceled. the information was wrong. Maybe it wasn't wrong. Maybe that was the plan, but things came about and they were able to move forward. Regardless, whatever it was, this movie is finally happening. And this is a huge story for multiple reasons. One, fans, believe it or not, love this story, love what Matt Reeves is doing with Batman. So they're excited about that. Two, it proves that James Gunn isn't above giving fans what they want. When people sit there and say, oh, James Gunn is going to cancel it, James Gunn is going to sabotage it, James Gunn this, James Gunn that. No, that's that's not what's going on. There were some issues in the background. There were delays. There were some personal issues that Matt Reeves was taking care of and was dealing with. And because of that, my chair keeps rolling away. But because of that, yes, it was looking more and more likely that this film may not happen. But finally, it was revealed. It's coming. It's happening. And production is just around the corner. And so much so that they're in the middle of casting the extra characters that they didn't have before. These new characters that they need for the movie, they're casting them right now. Production is going to start in a few months. It's coming. So those of you who are excited about Batman Part 2, excited about it, this was a huge news story because it solidifies many things. It's coming. James Gunn's not above making sure that what people want gets made. They're not above artistic integrity. And guess what? They're sticking to that Elseworlds idea as well. So look, this was big news. This was great. And it's great to see. Next up, the Absolute Comics massive success. DC Comics has been on an amazing, impressive run over the last couple years here. I don't know if many of you read the comics, but this is huge news when it comes to DC overall because of how big and important and crazy the success has been with the comics. And it kind of all started with that All-In event that pretty much set everything off. What was it? Was it October of 2024? Something like that, around October 2024, something. Maybe a little before that, the comics were doing well. But that All-In event really kind of solidified like this new era, per se, of DC Comics. It launched the Absolute Universe. There's now the DCKO universe. And it kind of brought everything back to number one issues. It brought Batman back to number one and a bunch of other things back to number one. So because of that, people were like, hey, we can jump in. We can get on board. Now this typically happens. Like when there's an event that brings comics to, like, you get those number ones, you're going to see an influx. You're going to see people really diving in and getting into the comics again. And like, oh, I'm going to jump in here. Like I remember when Rebirth happened, like I was buying every comic for probably a good 6 or 7 months that was coming out. Like I had a stack of Rebirth comics like crazy because I was just like, oh, I got to read them. But then I started to fall off. Because after so long, you just kind of like, I don't want these ones. I don't like these ones. I'm not interested in that. I'm not invested in that. And eventually you just kind of fall out of them. But something weird's happening here because this wasn't like an event like a Rebirth or like a New 52. This was a continuation. Like a lot of the stories that were going on prior to the All-In event are still going on. They just kind of reset everything slightly. And everything that was going on before still happened, but it was just like, hey, this is number one. So a lot of the fans that were invested in what was going on prior are still invested now, as well as pulling in a lot of new fans, a lot of new audience into it. And that was huge. That was a huge, huge get. So the normal runs, your regular runs for DC are doing great. But the Absolute comic line by Scott Snyder has been exploding, blowing up. I think Batman number 1 has been like 5 reprints now, 6 reprints. I don't know. It's crazy how many reprints. I think Absolute Batman number 2 has gone on to have 3 reprints. Batman number 4, I don't know. It like the reprints are nuts. But again, you then have, I think Absolute Wonder Woman ended up winning comic book of the year award or something like that. Like this Absolute line is incredible. Because of that, we're seeing this shift in the comic realm. Like there's excitement. There's true excitement for comics again, which is absolutely amazing and exciting when it comes to DC. I would sit there and say, oh, it's all Jim Lee, because Jim Lee is absolutely a big part of it. But you take a look at the creatives that he has underneath of him. But not just that. What some people don't realize is James Gunn and Peter Safran have a lot to do with that as well. Because when you start to get things excited, when you get people excited about movies, when you get people excited about the brand as a whole, the brand as a whole is going to be successful. It's going to see an influx. And that's sort of what's happening. When they announced Superman, when they started showing off Superman, you started to see comics go off, jump off the shelves for what has inspired these stories. Same with Supergirl and things like that. So they're doing things hand in hand now with DC Studios, DC Comics, and everything. You're also seeing DC Comics kind of show up in really weird places that you don't typically see them. They're not just sticking to the idea of, hey, we're going to put them in a comic book shop and hope for the best. No, they're like, comic book shops are dying. They're a dying breed. Like, again, I say this all the time. My closest comic book shop's almost an hour away. It's like 45, 40, 50 minutes away, something like that. It's actually right next to the closest movie theater to me. So that's my closest comic book shop. So if I want to buy a physical comic book and really like get it on day one, walk into the store and get it, I have to drive 45 to 50 minutes away. However, what DC started to do is they're like, you know what, let's start putting them in Walmarts. Let's put them in supermarkets. Let's put them here. Let's put them there. And putting them in these crazy places, kind of like what they did in the 90s. Marvel used to be really big at doing this in the 90s. Throwing them in supermarkets and things like that. That's what DC is doing now. And it's really pumping up the output. And that's a big reason why it's helping. Not to mention that the stories are damn good. They're really good right now. But yeah, that's my number three. So there you have it. Number 2, Supergirl teaser. I debated putting this one on here because, let's be honest, it kind of came and went. But there is still a level of excitement for Supergirl, because Supergirl is going to be the follow-up to one of the best superhero films in years, Superman, and the best superhero movie of 2025. Or I won't say the best, but the number one superhero movie of 2025. And that's important. And I think that what the teaser did was it showcased a lot of cool things. It showcased that this is a cosmic adventure, that it's going to be something that's different than Superman, but still part of the same universe. And that's important. And I think it is important to put that, hey, this story was big. It's big enough because it's going to continue. I mean, this story is going to continue into 2026 up until its release. And I think that's kind of why it's important to add this into it, because yeah, it's an important aspect of it. But the number one big story of the year, Superman releases and the DCU officially begins. Now, we know Superman released in July 2025, but it didn't just release, it announced itself. And not just itself, it announced the DCU. It landed with huge applause, with critical praise, with audience praise. People love this movie. Let's not forget that it also made well over $600 million. I mean, it made $617 million at the box office, becoming the number one superhero film via the box office in 2025. In a year where, well, superhero genre has been struggling for the past few years, actually, I should say. So that's huge. But then it did well on streaming platforms. It did well on digital. And people still talk about it today. I mean, you go on X, you go on social media, people are still talking about Superman. And it's funny because I sit here and I think about the 2013, 14, 15, 16, that era of DC. And Man of Steel everybody talks about Man of Steel. Everybody talked about Man of Steel back then. I remember listening to the podcast back then and things like that. And there was all this talk about, Man of Steel. It was Man of Mopin, Man of Hobo Superman, and things like that. I mean, they made jokes about it all the time, but it stayed in the conversation constantly. Man of Steel was always in the conversation. You had that fighting back and forth, people who loved it, people who didn't love it. Now, granted, today, 2025, we're seeing similar things. We're seeing people who complain about Superman. So yeah, it's sticking around. It's staying in the conversation. But I see that the complaints are not as loud when it comes to Superman as it was back in 2014, 2013, 2016 for Superman or for Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. You've got that small group of people that are complaining about it. Mostly everybody else is just like, hey, that was a really fun movie. I enjoyed it, that kind of stuff. And it's funny because the ones who hate it the most, the ones who want it to die the most, are the ones who continue to keep the talk alive about it. I mean, I'll allow them to, whatever, let them talk about it all they want, but it's just funny to me. It really is. But let's not stop there with Superman, because with that success, with that hype, with the conversation still going on, still moving forward, still going, DC Studios announced Man of Tomorrow, which is the direct follow-up to Superman, going into production this coming April, releasing July of 2027. That's all kind of encapsulated in one story there, because without the success of Superman, we don't get Man of Tomorrow. Without how well Superman did, we don't get Man of Tomorrow. And I think that's where some people don't quite keep everything like straight. They're kind of just like, oh, they're just doing Man of Tomorrow because they have to and blah, blah, blah. No, Superman wasn't a success. If it was not a success, they would not be doing Man of Tomorrow. They probably would have rushed a Batman movie. But Superman was successful enough, and they said, look, we're going to do Man of Tomorrow. So, those to me are my 5 big stories for DC. You can go read all about it, slasfreetalk.com. You can check them out there. They're great. Check them out. Talk about it. Share this around. Show everybody, because I think, for me, those are the big stories of DC this year. But then again, there was stories like, what was it? V for Vendetta getting, a television show? That was a big story. The Clayface stuff, the casting news around Brainiac, obviously. I mean, there's so many other news stories that popped up. You could even talk about the small extension of Gunn and Safran. That kind of stuff is important, but I think these are the big ones right here. But I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. All right, what do we got over here? You guys are, geez. What are you guys talking about? Yeah, I don't know what you guys are talking about in the chat. Yeah, I don't know what you guys are talking about, but hey, whatever. What are you guys? Remember her Aaron live stream? That was wild. Who are you talking about? Donovan says Matt McCloy and Supergirl China drama. Willie says, I love reading comics. Heck yeah. I've become more of a digital comic reader just because I don't have a comic store near me, so I get most of mine on digital now. But yeah, that's the way to do it. Like, read comics. I don't see anything. Oh, Derpy's here. What's going on, Derpy? Hey, man. Man, I don't know. You guys talking about some stuff. Okay. All right. So we're going to move on to what I kind of want to announce here. And at that point, then it's just going to be kind of open discussion, open mic, where you guys can just bring up questions, ask a whole bunch of stuff, ask whatever you want to ask, all that kind of stuff, because yeah, that's where we're at today. Again, feeling a little under the weather. I didn't want to miss a show, but also didn't I just didn't have the energy to do a lot. All right. So, the Snyder Effect Archive. What is the Snyder Effect? I'm glad you ask, because where is it at? There it is. Should have pulled this up. The Snyder Effect, the rise and fall of the DCEU. I am in the middle, I'm past the middle, I should say. I'm past the middle of writing a book, a nonfiction book of the events of what happened with the DCEU. So I'm taking this time here to officially announce this book. I've been working on it for the better part of 3 years. Honestly, the idea came to me with this 2021 or so. Maybe 2020 is when it really came. 2020, 2021, around there is when the idea came to me. But I didn't really start working on it until shortly after the Snyder Cut, Zack Snyder's Justice League, came out. But as of right now, the book is titled The Snyder Effect, The Rise and Fall of the DCEU. That title may change. I don't know. I've kind of thrown around like 15 different titles in my head. The book is a long-form deep dive into the rise, collapse, and lasting cultural impact of the Snyderverse and the DCEU. I want to make sure that people understand this, that it is not a hit piece. It's not studio PR, and it's not fan fiction. It's a documented, contextual breakdown of how creative ambition, corporate decision-making, fandom, and modern Hollywood collided over more than a decade. So this, like I said, I've been working on this for years. Let me take you right now. I started with the book. So I don't know if you guys remember, there was a book that came out by Sean O'Connell called the Release the Snyder Cut book. And that's kind of what gave me like the idea. He released that book. I even interviewed him about it. I got an early copy. I was all like, wow, this is really well done. And I was like, I could write a book like this. Like, this isn't hard. But, you know, at the time of my life, I just wasn't quite there yet. But I read the book. I interviewed him. But I was like, I had this idea. I was like, man, I want to do a book like this. I just didn't really know what yet. But once the Snyder Cut came out, I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to write a book called The Restore the Snyderverse book. And that was my idea, was that it was going to be kind of a pseudo sequel, not sequel to Sean O'Connell's book, where it would continue after that fact and just cover the kind of happenings that were going on during that time frame from like 2020 through really, I guess, you know, until I was done with it, whenever that would have been. And at that point in time, as I was researching, I found, you know what, I don't think I want to do this. Not only that, but I started to realize how despicable the fandom was. That was around the time I left the fandom and got out of it. And I kind of put the idea to the side a little bit. I then decided, man, I don't want to leave, because there's so many, like I already created and started writing some really cool things. I have some really good information that I've been researching. So what can I do with this? Like, what could I possibly do with it? So then I was like, why don't I just do the Snyderverse book? And it was going to be like a book just on the Snyderverse. And I started doing more research. And as I was doing more research, it kind of developed into more of a DC book. So while, yes, there's a large portion of it is about Zack Snyder, because let's face it, I mean, Zack Snyder and his story was the foundation of what the DCEU was. It's not a hit piece. It's really to have an in-depth look and journey of where things started for the DCEU. Where, like, why did Man of Steel become Man of Steel? Like, why did they put that into production? Why did that happen? When did it happen? How did it happen? Why did they get Zack Snyder? And then where everything went from there moving forward. And that's kind of what it is. So I'm in pretty deep into the final stages of the book. I've written the whole thing. I've done one like really in-depth draft. I've run through it once, kind of just, like looking at some things, making sure like, hey, do I want this in here? Do I not want this in here? Do I want to add anything? And kind of now on my second pass that I'm doing, or I guess this would be my third pass. First pass would be me writing it, second pass, whatever. But on this current pass that I'm doing, I'm now going through and re-verifying all of my facts. So if something pops up, if there's something in there that I want to make sure is factually true, I'm double checking. I'm making sure I'm getting the facts and making sure that I have the information to back up what I'm stating in the book, because I don't want to just put my opinions. It's not my opinions. This is going to be factual information regarding the DCEU and what happened during that time. So right now there is no release date yet, but that is intentional because I don't want to rush it. I don't want to get this just out. I want to make sure it's done and done right. So I don't want to like hit a release date right now. 2026 is my release date. I'm just going to say that 2026. It'll be out in 2026 because I need to put I have to put a timeline on myself. So 2026 is, I do have a closer time in my head. Not a closer time, but like I have an estimated time in my head that I would like to hit, but there's some other things I have to overcome before I get there. But that's where this comes in. The Snyder Effect, the archive. The archive is a dedicated members section for those who want regular, consistent updates on the book's progress. This is where I'll be sharing behind the scenes insights, progress updates, structural decisions, removed sections and chapters, snippets from the book, and the reality of what it takes to finish a project like this the right way. I'm not making any promises, no vague promises, just transparency and momentum. If you want to follow the project, support the work, or simply want to stay informed as the book moves toward completion, the archive is the place to be. Updates will live there first and will be posted consistently as the finish line gets closer. So I do hope you want to check it out. So to kind of show you what it looks like a little bit here, this is, if you were to subscribe, this is what it would look like. Now, what is the Snyder Effect? Again, the art is temporary for the book cover. It is not the completed. That is not what it's going to be because I don't want to use AI art. I just needed something for placement. So I do need to find somebody to create the book cover for me. But then I have things like commentary. I should probably try and expand that. So yeah, it's not going to work. Okay, whatever. That's all right. So this is like the commentary section. This is where you'll see all my updates, upcoming book update, so I actually put the prologue in here, my expectations and realization, backlash. And then if I, as I put updates, this is where you're going to see it. Abandoned chapters. These are kind of cool. These two that I have here now stem back from the beginning, the first thing that I was writing, the Restore the Snyderverse book. So these two things here, the Deathstroke and the Affleck's Batman, those are kind of two chapters that I would have added in had I was doing it then. I tried to fit them in the current book, but they didn't fit there. And then the articles for reference, these are all different articles that I've been using for reference. This is going to grow as I move forward because I'm double checking all of my work. And before I put anything in the archive, it's also going through a vetting process. So as I'm going through, I'm vetting the art, my book. And then as I'm vetting it, that information gets put in to the archive because at that point I know, hey, I vetted it. It's right. It's in here. It's in the archive. It's good to go. And then reference videos. This is another thing that'll continuously build. You'll see reference videos in here from Zack Snyder interviews with different people and people that were connected to the Snyderverse, and any other videos that I find interesting or important to the book. So you'll find all that kind of stuff here. It's really cool. All you need to do is you go on my website, you click the Snyder Effect Archive right here, Snyder Effect Archive, and that is where you can become a member. So I'm excited about it. I'm hoping to get it completed. Well, I'm shooting to get it completed in 2026. 2026 is when it'll be done. I'm telling you, 2026. But yeah, I mean, it's just, I want to take my time. I want to do it right. And the thing is it's going to be impossible to get everything. It is. It's going to be impossible. You read these types of books, something's always missed, something's not in there. Somebody's going to be upset that something isn't in it that they saw or they were part of that's not in there. That's going to happen. And that's why I'm going through this and trying to be as all-inclusive with it as possible, but making sure that it reads well, because I don't want it to just be a bore fest. I want it to be intriguing, interesting, and accurate. And that's kind of the big part about it. So again, that is the announcement for today. All right. So let's move back over here. Movie talk. Yes, Lav. Donovan says using AI to write it. I have always been completely honest with you guys. When it comes to writing, I use AI to help with punctuation and making sure things sound better. I'm not using it to write the book. So no, this is all my research that I've been doing. I've been doing it for years. Even before ChatGPT was even like a thing, I've been writing this book. So no, I'm not using AI to write it. I use Apple machines, and they have the thing where like you can have it check your punctuation and things like that. It'll also tell you how you can like make it sound better, and it may sometimes like, hey, if you write it like this, it'll sound better. I will do that kind of stuff sometimes, but not always. No, my main thing is I just use it for punctuation, because I do have a little issue with punctuation. I am going to be utilizing my mother as my editor, because she is a huge English nut and somebody who loves paying attention to punctuation and stuff like that. So she will be kind of my editor with this whole thing. So yeah. Movie Talk says, congrats, Slav. Amazing news. Thank you. Can't wait to read this. Willie Fish to Gas. Who's writing the foreword? Aaron, Harsh Critics, Matt McGloin. Will have pictures from Zack Snyder's Instagram. Seriously, it sounds great. That was one of the things. It's funny you say that, because I was considering getting pictures, like trying to find a way to put pictures in this, but that is costly. I'm still trying to find out a way, if there's a way, like something I can do, but probably not, but I'll see what I can do. But no, having those other people though, who knows? Like, here's the thing, like once it gets to the point where I want to release it, I'm gonna, like, if people want to review it, I'll let them read it to review it and go from there. But here's the thing, like I said, I'm not doing this to bash the Snyderverse or the Snyder cult or the Snyder Bros or Zack Snyder, because honestly, like, I go through it, like I said, I've read it a few times now, and there really isn't anything negative about Zack Snyder or the Snyder fans, or I won't say not anything negative. It just kind of paints the whole picture of what kind of transpired. And that's kind of my whole thing, is I want it to be as unbiased as possible. And if somebody comes out the other side saying, wow, the Snyderverse fandom was kind of ridiculous between 2021 and 2023 or 2024, then that's their choice. But you can also see all the great things that they did. So, I mean, that's the thing. It's kind of, you're going to see people who eventually do read this are not going to like it for sure. Donovan says, I mean, Zack Snyder has a troubling pattern of behavior. It's there. I mean, I wouldn't say it's troubling, but he has an interesting pattern for sure. Blood Ocean 07 says December 31st, 2026. I hope it's before then. I'm going to say that. I'm ready for it to, like, I know it can't come out yet because there's a lot of stuff, but yeah, I'm ready for it to come out. Kevko says, be careful. Sean is friends with Zach and got death threats from the cult before. Full circle. But seriously, can't wait to check it out. Yeah, I know. Like, I'm not worried about that kind of stuff because I can back up my, where I stand. I mean, you take a look at my past with Bridging the Geekdoms to now, my stance has always been the same. I'm a fan of Zack Snyder's work. I've enjoyed everything that he's made when it comes to DC. I've liked it all. I've supported it all. But there's some issues that I've had. But again, when I sit back in the book, I made it as unbiased as possible. And that's why I'm going to have people that I trust read it and tell me, like, hey, this is unbiased, or hey, this seems really biased. And if it seems biased, I'm going to change it. Donovan says, release the book same day as GTA 6. Do it, you coward. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Well, I mean, GTA 6 is never going to get released, so it's just going to get delayed again and again and again. All right, guys, what do you got for me? We got a little bit of time left. What do you guys got for me? DC related, pop culture related, I don't care. Okay, wait, let's get this out of the way because I know somebody's going to bring it up. Where is it at? Might as well get it out of the way. Here it is. Did you see today what Matt McGloin said about China not liking Supergirl? Okay. Now, I did not see exactly what Matt McGloin said. I did not see that. Here, Donovan brings it up again. But I want people to understand something about China, okay? Because China is very, 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 very interesting when it comes to movies right now. You can't trust them. Like, you can't trust the hype or the non-hype around China. You just can't. Back in the late 2010s, superhero movies were tearing it up over in China. I think Aquaman made more money in China than it did over here. Like, I don't know if it was China, but like internationally, it destroyed, and China was a big part of that. You had Wonder Woman that did well. You had a whole bunch of other films, your Endgames, your Infinity Wars, your Marvel films, all those. They just tore it up in China all the way back before 2019. But then something happened in the 2020s. The genre just hasn't been successful in China. Even before that, there are movies that some movies don't do well in China. And you can kind of see a trend where it was kind of starting to dip. Like, there was something happening with China where I think, was it The Force Awakens or maybe The Last Jedi or something? Like, did horrendously in China. And I know some people will say, oh, that's because of Finn being in the movie, because they don't like black leads and stuff like that in China. And maybe that's the case. But you start to see this trend happening where China doesn't always like to, support American films. But what about Avatar, Slav? Or what about Toy Story or whatever those movies are? Because, yeah, they will support animated films. Especially like Zootopia was a big one. But China loves them animals. China loves animals. I don't know if you know this, but China loves animals. So yeah, they're going to support a movie like Zootopia. Avatar, that's another one that they just support. It's a huge type of it. Like, it's that kind of spectacle that they like. When it comes to superhero films and even some other types of films, like, they're just not supporting them like they used to. Now, like I said, I haven't had a chance to really dive into what Matt McGloin was saying, so I don't know what he said. Let's see, you guys saying anything here? No. So I don't know what he said, but I will say this. Superman made $617 million without China. $617 million without China. Had China been what it was back in the 2010s, it probably would have made 800. Because you probably could have seen another 200 million. But it's not. The industry, Hollywood, understands this. You see, the economy, the political climate has changed when it comes to China. And that does play a role. What people don't understand is that kind of stuff plays a role with things. How many theaters does it play in China? Not only that, but how trustworthy are they reporting their numbers? Their take, anyways, when it comes to box office is just really bizarre compared to what the take is, the split is anywhere else. So there's a lot of different scenarios and aspects where, the industry at Hollywood, they're not looking at China like they did 10 years ago, 15 years ago. They're looking at China as like, hey, we would like to do well there. But if we don't, we can't we can't rely on it. We cannot rely on it. So the fact that people are sitting here saying Supergirl isn't going to do well in China, it's a flop. Well, that's just stupid because Superman didn't do well in China and it didn't flop. It's just that simple. The industry is going to adapt. Hollywood will adapt, and they are adapting. They are adapting to it. They're focusing on other aspects internationally. They're looking at other areas internationally. They're not focusing on China. But yeah, they all want to see China. They want to see things succeed there because it is a nice boost if it does well, but they can't rely on it. And in the same sense, us as fans, us as moviegoers, us as people who like to sit here and theorize on things, we can't be stuck in the old ways either. We need to remember, hey, things change over time. And because things change, we have to realize, oh, okay, China isn't a big get anymore. It's only like 5 to 10% of revenue at the box office at this point. So if it's not tracking well in China, oh well, it doesn't matter. Now, again, if it does great in China, awesome. But that's not something that should be relied on. Because when it comes to superhero films and other movies as well, they don't all do well in China. Some do, some don't. It's that simple. Movie Talk Now says, rank your favorite Bat family members in order. Well, which one? Because there's so many. I mean, do you want me to go through all the Robins, Batgirl, Batwoman? Like, which Batgirls? There's so many. Look, I'm gonna keep it simple, okay? My number one has always been Dick Grayson. Specifically, Dick Grayson is Nightwing. I love Nightwing. I've always been a big Nightwing fan. So Nightwing's number one. Number two is Batman. I mean, come on, Batman, absolutely. Now, granted, look, I'm a huge Batman fan. Batman is my number one big comic book guy, okay? But if you're gonna get down to the nitty gritty, I love Nightwing when it comes to the Bat family. I would then go probably Red Hood. Red Hood's fun. I like Red Hood. I just love his attitude and the way he is. So yeah, I'll go Red Hood 3. Oracle, not Batgirl, Oracle number 4. And I will go with number 5. I'm gonna go 5. Wow, it just left my tongue there. Crap, right there. Wow. I can't remember his name. It was right there. I was gonna say it, I lost it. I gotta look it real quick. He took over the role of Batman for a moment when his back was broken. Why can't I remember his name? Azrael. Thank you. There we go. Azrael. Jeez. Azrael. That's my number 5. Okay, there we go. All right. Do you even want to consider Azrael a Bat family member? I will, just because he got to be Batman for a little bit. And Movie Talk Now says, who wins, Hal Jordan or Wally West? Ooh, that's a tough one. I have to go with Wally West. I'm a Flash guy also, and Wally West too. I'm a big Wally West guy, so I'm gonna go Wally West with that one. Trayvon says Spider-Man No Way Home almost made $2 billion with no help from China. Again, you see my point. You see my point. Let's see. Willie Fish guess when Supergirl releases in China digitally had cat ears and a tail. Boom, $1 billion. Trayvon says, rank your favorite live action Superman suits. I did that already, didn't I? Pretty sure I did that like on a live like a while ago. I'm not going to remember them all, but I'll go down the line. My number one is the Batman vs. Superman suit. Love that Superman suit. I think honestly, number two, I'll probably go with Superman. Like, I really do like the suit from Superman. I really enjoy it. I think it's a great suit. I would probably go Christopher Reeve, then Brandon Routh, but actually Brandon Routh from Arrow when he was the Kingdom Come Brandon Routh, that one. And honestly, that one might even bump up to like number 2. That suit's really good. I don't know. I can't remember them all. I'm trying to think. It's tough because like the Christopher Reeve one was used by so many different people just in different ways. Like, you know, you take a look at what they did with the Adventures of Lois and Clark, and it was basically the Christopher Reeve suit, just, you know, maybe a little brighter, the emblem a little bigger, a little smaller, the cape was a little different. Like, they're all basically the same suit. I like, you know, when I sit there and take a look, like think about it, it's kind of like, all right, let's think of like the suits that were really different. You know, and that's kind of what I'm trying to think of. And yeah, I think that's kind of the direction I would go in. If I go those 4, probably BVS Superman suit, Kingdom Come Brandon Routh and Arrow, Superman suit from Superman, Christopher Reeve because it's just classic. If I was to do a number 5, is there a number 5 that I can think of that is not something that is the same? Yeah, I did like the Brandon Routh from Superman Returns suit. I didn't hate it because I put that there. Let's see. Yeah, yes, Azrael. Okay, you guys I'm way behind you guys, but yes, Azrael. Thank you. Movie Talk Now says agreed. Routh's Kingdom Come costume is ranked number 2. That costume is just so good. Like they just hit it perfectly. Like everything about it, the size of the emblem, just the way the suit is, like the blue, the everything about it, the trunks, everything. Like it was a perfect suit. Now, almost a perfect suit, I should say, because I probably would have liked a little more definition from some muscles on there. But besides that, excellent suit. Excellent. Let's see. Anybody else got anything for me? Man, I was hoping for a few more questions than that, but you guys got nothing. That's no fun. What do you guys got? That's what I wanted to do. Willie asks, well, that's not what I was expecting. Did you see the last Aaron video where he states 3 things Gunn did to DC? No, but please tell me what are the 3 things he said if you remember them. I'd love to hear what he said. Again, guys, I know that a lot of people think that I sit there and watch their videos, you know, whether it's Harsh Critic or Aaron or Hold My Dual Shock or whomever they are, you know, all the ones I'm talking about. I know everybody thinks I watch their videos. I don't. The majority of my YouTube video watching is technology stuff. I watch technology podcasts and technology stuff. Like I'm so ingrained when it comes to my website and my podcast and pop culture and DC that I don't like to watch. I've even said this, like, I don't like to watch other people's takes because I don't want it to, you know, like manipulate the way I think about things. The only podcast that I'll listen to on a regular basis anymore is John Campia's show. I've been listening to him a lot more than I used to lately. I don't know why really, because I mean, it's just, and I listen to it in the car to and from work, and I don't even listen to it every day. Like I might listen to 1 or 2 episodes a week, if that, but that's probably the only one that I listen to on a regular basis. Willie Fishguest says necrophilia, orgies, and underage sex. Can't place the last one. So he's talking about Creature Commandos. That's what he's talking about. He's talking about Creature Commandos. I don't know about the underage sex. I don't know where that comes in, but the necrophilia, Creature Commandos, orgies from Peacemaker. But where's the underage sex come in? Like, I don't understand that. I don't know. Movie Talk Now. Rush Limbaugh was very much like that. He wouldn't listen to other shows because he was worried he'd accidentally copy them. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I've caught myself before, like, saying things even in a similar tempo or tone that, like, John Campea says it. You know, and it's just like, I'll be listening to a show and I'll be like, did I copy that from him? I hope not. I don't know. Like, I don't want to do that kind of stuff. I think I've even told you, Movie Talk Now, like, when it comes to your stuff, you've given me some ideas on what to do with my channel on YouTube, and I'm like, I don't even like to go on yours because I don't want to accidentally like copy what you do. You know? Like, I don't want to do it because I don't want to be like, hey, you're doing what that person is, you're copying that person. Unless I'm doing it in fun and jest, because then I'll copy somebody in fun and jest, and you know, it's fun. But Critic Chris, would you still do a live video with Revelations or anything? Just curious. Yeah, absolutely. Here's the thing. Once we get into the new year, I do want to do a lot more live videos with different people. Like, I've had, people on that I've had on, the comics cuts, the derpies and the things like that. So I've had Real Anarchy on, that kind of stuff. But I want to kind of spread my wings and get some new people on, or I'm going to try and get on some other people's shows as well. Just kind of get my face out there. So yeah, absolutely. I'd do something with Revelation. Revelate. Is that how you say her name? I don't even remember. I've watched her channel a few times, especially that one. She just went off an Aaron, which was hilarious. Loved it. Kevka says the princess wasn't underage, right? I don't think she was. I don't remember, but I haven't watched it since last year, but I don't think she was. Willie says he also said live action, but Creature Commandos is animated. Yeah, he's an idiot sometimes. You know what I'm saying. Kevka, it was a weird thing to put out there. These people are trying, like, right now there's nothing to talk about. Like, literally, when it comes to DC or stuff like that, they don't have anything to talk about. They just don't. So when you sit there and think about it, they're trying to find stuff. Like Aaron right now, he's just trying to find stuff to criticize. And I'm not saying there's nothing to talk about DC, but there's nothing to criticize DC about because they're winning on all accounts. I saw this thing. You're going to see an article pop up this week where there was some ridiculous person trying to say Netflix hired Henry Cavill. That's what people are trying to do. Like, you have these outlets, you have these people that are trying to go out there and just make up stories. Like, they hired Henry Cavill to make up for him because of how they treated him on The Witcher, and they're going to give him all this stuff for Superman. It's like, what? What? Like, they make up these stories to just rile people up as much as they can, because when you look at what's going on with DC, when the Supergirl teaser was really good, you take a look at the casting for Brainiac, which was solid, and it wasn't is an exciting name. No, nobody really knows who this Lars Eidinger is, but that wasn't the news. The news was Brainiac, and that's exciting. But you can't criticize it for that kind of stuff. People can't criticize DC, so they have to make things up. Johnny Dome says Shine Comics is another channel that is crazy, saying they should have kept Jason Todd dead. I mean, that's some people's belief, sure. I think it was one of those things that in the comics, when they did it, they were going for shock factor. They were kind of like, how can we kill off a character, which they killed off the character, when they did, and they had fun. I won't say fun, but they did it in an interesting way. And then later on, when they introduced a new character, they were like, we got to make it mysterious and have fun with it. And they brought Jason Todd back. So, I mean, in comics, nobody ever stays dead. So I don't know what people think. I don't know. Great Chris says nothing but clickbait videos. Yep. They had fun doing it. Hey! Look, I mean, who wouldn't want to write about Joker beating the crap out of somebody, right? You know. Oh, man. Okay. You guys got anything else? I'll go for another couple minutes here, but I'm gonna get out of here because I need some rest, relaxation. So I'm good to go later this week for the other show this week. Unless you're Ben Parker, says Blood Ocean. Yeah, what the heck's up with that? Nobody stays dead except for Ben Parker. Or, Pa Kent, but, he could die by heart attack or tornado. Let's get into that debate. Johnny Dome, since he is in a new animated show, Mr. Miracle live action would be cool. Don't forget, when it comes to this stuff, just because it's an animation doesn't mean we won't see it in live action. So we could eventually see Mr. Miracle in live action. Willie Fishtagash says people only get younger in comics. Ask Aunt May. No, I think that's in movies. She gets younger. In every movie, she gets like 15 years younger, I think. All right, Critic Chris, have a good night. See you later this week. Movie Talk Now says, make a prediction. Will Batman appear in Man of Tomorrow? I say, yeah, or Movie Talk says, I say yes. I want to say yes. I do. I want so desperately to say yes. But the closer and closer we get to production, the more and more I say no. But, no, I'm going to say yes. I'm just going to say yes. The reason why I'm saying, and this is the reason why I'm going to say yes, is because the Brainiac situation in Man of Tomorrow, I feel, is going to lead them to needing a team of heroes. And however that movie ends, they're going to say, this was just the beginning. We need a team or something like that. And I think that Batman will definitely kind of come into the picture because of that. Whether it's at the very end or he's already part of it, who knows? I don't know. But Batman's gonna, I'm saying yes. Don't forget that the Ben Parker that was a different Ben Parker though. Hydrasylum Comics. There we go. Are you a comic reader? And if you are, do you have a favorite series you're reading right now? Yes, I am a comic reader. I'm not as heavily into comics as, say, someone like Comics Cuts, who, if you want to talk about comics, go subscribe to Comics Cuts on X. He hasn't been posting much on YouTube lately, but once he gets back on there, he reads a lot of comics, and a lot of Marvel comics too. But yeah, I do read comics. Right now, I have been following the Batman Matt Fraction series that just started a couple months ago. So I've been reading that. I have been enjoying that, even though the last issue, what was it, issue 4, was kind of rough. The Absolute series has been really good. So I've been reading that. I've been trying to stick to DC stuff as much as possible because of my channel now. And I've never been a big Marvel comic fan anyways. So, but yeah, I've been just trying to stick to that stuff as much as I can. But definitely, if you haven't read any of the Absolute stuff, read the Absolute stuff. And the Matt Fraction Batman, the first issue was phenomenal. Second issue was pretty good. Third and fourth issue kind of dropped off. Johnny Dome says Cavill wasn't even an A-list before Man of Steel. Very true. Breaking, Batman to appear in Man of Tomorrow. Hydrasylum Comics, nice. DC is kind of crushing it this year. Yeah, I just went over that earlier in the episode. DC is crushing it when it comes to comics. I gave DC KO a shot. That I just read the first issue. I don't even know how many issues there are of that right now. I might continue it, but I was just not sold on it. It seems too I don't know, all over the place for me. Maybe after it has, a handful of issues out for that run, I'll check it out again. But yeah, DC's been killing it. And that stuff going on with Superman right now has been really solid too. So definitely check out Superman if you can as well. Movie Talk says, do you think Peacemaker will have a big role in Man of Tomorrow? No. I hope so. No. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we don't see him at all in Man of Tomorrow. Johnny Dome said that because Snyder fans get mad when Gunn casts on A-list. No, you're exactly right. But then again, weren't they the ones saying that all he does is cast his friends and family? But now he casts it. Yeah, okay. I'm just waiting for Superman to take on Homelander and DCKO. Willie Fish to Gash. I just read, I saw Santa #2. Santa takes on a serial killer. Thanks, McFarlane. McFarlane does some weird stuff. I don't know. Like, he'll have a great run from time to time, but there are some weird things. Oh, man. All right. I am going to call it a night, guys. It's been fun. It's been great. It has not been great and fun. No, that's not how that. How does it go? I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. But guys, I'm going to head out of here. This was a lot of fun. I will be back later this week with another episode of The Watchtower. We'll dive more into some of the news that's been breaking over the last few days, last week or so, and dive more into what's kind of going on there, and even talk about what's exciting in 2026. So be on the lookout for that episode later this week. And I want to thank everybody for stopping by, hanging out with me. Make sure you go to SlavsFreeTalk.com. Join the archive there. See what's going on there. If you're a Snyderverse fan, why not? And there's some other cool stuff on the website. I'm building out the website, more DC centric than ever before. So it's a lot of fun over there. So go check it out. But with all that said, guys, I will talk at all of you later.